guys, and the approximately 1.5% of you that are girls. Welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about practice, and more specifically, how to practice and the quality of our practice. Drumming is so much more fun the better you get. So today we're going to talk about getting serious about having fun. So I've broken this down into seven key areas of focus for pro level practice. And the very first one is mental preparation. You might be thinking, Kirk, you're talking to me, we need to mentally prepare to prepare. And while that is true in a sense, this could very well make the difference between a very successful practice session and what can pretty much be chalked up as a complete waste of time. And the first point about this is listing out what you're going to practice before you sit down behind the kit or the pad. How many times have you sat down behind the kit and wondered, what should I practice today? Should I do some rudiments? Should I just practice grooving? Should I improv? Am I going to play some songs? What songs am I going to play? All that chatter can be completely eliminated, and we can save a ton of brain power and time if we just have it listed out in front of us and we can just boom, 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 start plugging away at the tasks that we have already set out to do. And also laying out everything you're going to practice beforehand makes you less likely to get distracted by other things, because when you have to think about what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? As soon as you finish an exercise, that opens Pandora's box. That opens up the opportunity for you to look at your phone and get distracted, or look around the room and start thinking about what you're going to eat for dinner, or whatever it might be. When you have all that ready to go and you don't have to think about what comes next, not only are you going to save time, but you're going to save mental energy. And speaking of distractions, this guy right here is the number one culprit. You all know what I'm talking about. And sometimes we can't get away from it, right? If you need to play along to a song, or if you have your click track on your phone, sometimes that's just a necessity. But what you can do is we can put it on airplane mode, or at the very least, we can put it on do not disturb, so that you're not being bombarded with notifications and tempted to look down at your phone, pull it up, go down some rabbit hole. If we can have a list ready to go of what we're going to practice before we sit down, and we can manage our use of our little electronic box, then you will be primed and ready to go for a focused, effective practice session. The second pillar of our pro level practice is setting and maintaining a high standard for our playing. Now, this does not mean that you need to play or strive to have everything 100% perfect. We are humans. That is the magic of music. It will never be perfect. However, the best musicians, the musicians who get the gigs, are the ones who are constantly aiming to put their best foot forward at all times and strive to do the absolute best that they can for every part, every performance, no matter what.
Do your best.
Again, it's not necessarily about achieving perfection. It's about asking yourself, am I playing this, or did I put in the effort equivalent to the best of my ability at this point in time? And I've got a few practical tips for always bringing the heat with your playing and putting your best foot forward. And by far, the one that I preach the most and the most emphatically is do not practice until you can play a part right once. That's where so many people stop. And that, in my mind, is just the beginning. We do not practice until we can play something correctly once. That's a great feeling. That's awesome. You got it. But we want to take that and practice that part until we literally cannot screw it up. Let's say you've got a live show coming up and there is a particular section of a song that is really technically challenging, is putting you through your paces. you take the approach that most drummers take, and you practice it, and you finally get it, and you're like, okay, sweet, great, I can play it. And you just leave it there. Let's say you practiced it 10 times, and out of those 10 times you practiced it, you got it right once. You are now going into your live performance with a 10% success rate.
Were you rushing or were you dragging?
I don't know.
And then when you add on the fact that there's, a bunch of strobing lights, you're probably going to be in the dark. There's people screaming at you. Your drums are going to sound different. It's very disorienting. That 10% is probably going to look more like 5% or even less. Not the best odds for nailing that part. However, if you have practiced that part to the point where you could play it in your sleep, play it blindfolded, move your drums around, still play it correctly, then you are going to be armed to nail it every time, no matter what the situation is and what the venue is like. Or if you're recording in the studio, when you have that pressure of the cameras in front of you, like me, half the time I forget how to talk as soon as I know that the camera is recording. But if we are thoroughly prepared and it's muscle memory, then it's no big deal. You're going to be able to rock it out every single time. And moving on to pillar number 3, and this one can be a little tedious, but it is so useful, and it is tracking our progress. What gets measured gets improved. So with this, what you want to do is when you have your list of what you're going to practice, as you go through it, track your BPMs, track where you started, track where you ended. And also what I like to do is add a little descriptor next to the BPM of, was this sloppy? Did I just barely get through it? Or, was it solid? Was it steady? Just to give myself a little bit more of a detailed picture when I go back and look at what I did and how I'm progressing. And going hand in hand with tracking your progress is our 4th pillar of pro level practice. And that is please, if you are not already, start recording yourself. If I could only ever give you one tip on how to get better at drums, overall, the best tip I could possibly give is to record yourself. Recording your playing is like rocket fuel for your drumming skills. And there's a few reasons for this. Our memories as humans are inaccurate at best. What? Your perceptions, your emotions, how you're feeling in the moment can very much distort your perception of what you're doing, especially when it comes to something as nuanced as playing the drums. So often, how we feel, how we think we played something is not at all how we actually played it if we can look back at the recording or the video of what we did. And I think pretty much any drummer can relate to this, where if you've ever seen a video of you playing live, where maybe you felt like you were absolutely jamming, going balls to the wall, just punishing the drums. And then you watch the video and it just, looks like you're bored. Like, how many times has that happened? How many people has that happened to? I would wager pretty much every drummer has dealt with that. And so the only way to really get an accurate gauge of what you're doing is to watch what you're doing. And the more you do that, the more you can get a feel for, like I really need to over exaggerate my movements if I want to achieve this, this vibe while I'm playing. Or maybe it's something as granular as, I know my feel is off for this groove and I don't quite know what it is. So you record your playing, you go back and look and you realize, I'm rushing the second hit of my kick doubles every time. The second one is being rushed and it sounds a little choppy. It is the best way to accurately and precisely address the weak points in your playing. And it can also give you a confidence boost on some of the stuff you're really doing well, which is always a great thing, as well as being able to look back at a performance from a few months, a few years ago, and see how far you've come in your journey. For a lot of us, it's very similar to dieting or going to the gym. You don't see the results day by day, but if you go back and look at some old pictures or some old video of you playing drums, the difference can be dramatic, and that often is very encouraging when we are bumping up against ceilings or plateaus in our playing. Moving on to our fifth pillar of pro level drumming. And I just nutshell this as the tortoise and the hare, or slow and steady wins the race, however you want to say it. If you want to get good at drums, start slow. Simple as that. I do not care what level you're at. You can be a beginner. You can be El Estepario. It does not matter. If you slow down a drum part enough, no matter how complicated it is, you can play it. Don't believe me? Slow it down to like 10 BPM to where it doesn't even sound like music and you are just working mechanically on, okay, these hit together, then we're doing this, and then these hit together. Like, I am talking that slow. And obviously you don't need to take everything that slow. More basic parts, that's not going to be necessary. But when we're working on complicated stuff, or maybe that's something that's just above what you're currently capable of playing with ease, right? If you break that part down so slow to where it is every single hit is an intentional mechanical process to just understand what you're playing, you're going to have that part down in no time. That's because our mind understands the part way faster than our body does. The muscle memory takes so much longer and so much more repetition to build up. And so really all we want to do is start slow and give our hands and our feet the opportunity and the repetition to catch up with our mind. Don't try to get ahead of yourself too fast. And we make sure at each tempo, is what I'm playing rock solid? If the answer is yes, we move on. And this will get you to where you want to be so much faster than just winging it. You will have put in the time. You will have built it from the ground up, and it's going to be second nature to where you can just play it without thinking about it. And that's exactly where we want to be as drummers. We don't want to be in our head worrying about what we're going to do next. We want to just be in the moment and allow ourselves to flow on the kit. Point number 6 of our pro level practice is going to be practicing endurance. And this is an idea that a couple mentors of mine, Gabe and Shia from Drum Beats Online, really drilled into my brain. And they're absolutely right. Because in the same way as when I discussed, practicing a part until you can't mess it up, it's a lot of the same principles here. If you have a show and it's in an unfamiliar place with an unfamiliar sound, or you're in a recording environment, you might be paying for studio time, so you only have a limited amount of time to get it right, or you're just at home sitting in front of a camera, it's much higher pressure. And with that can get your adrenaline pumping. That's going to make you fatigued so much quicker, parts that might not normally be that big of a deal for you. So as a hedge against this, we want to practice our endurance so we know that, okay, I can go for days on this part. Like, it doesn't matter if I need to do a bunch of takes in the studio, it's no problem. I'm not going to get tired. It doesn't matter if my nerves get the best of me and my adrenaline starts pumping on stage and I get drained quicker, because I know that I can run this part for 30 minutes and not get tired. If you're working on a song, especially if you're feeling a little winded at the end, or your wrists or your fingers or your calves are burning by the end of it, play it on repeat. Work on your endurance for that song until you can play it several times in a row and still keep up and still be feeling like you got something left in the tank. In branching off that last point for my live drummers out there, let's call your average set 50 minutes. If you take that 50-minute set, run it 2-3 times, you're going to feel a lot more confident knowing that I can do this. I got gas left in the tank. We're okay. I've got some wiggle room for the inevitable chaos that comes from performing in a live situation. You're going to feel much better, and you're going to be much more physically equipped to push through that adrenaline that's going to come up when we get excited. All right, my friends, we have reached the final pillar of our pro level practice. I know I said if I could only give one tip to improve your drumming, it would be to record yourself. I would say this just barely comes in second place, and that is to spend time practicing what you're not good at. Especially if you're a busy person and you are struggling to make practice time in general, do not waste time playing stuff that you've already got down, that you're already comfortable with. We want to spend our practice time improving the skills that need improved. And yes, you can take this too far, and we want playing drums to be fun. That's 100% true. But as I said at the beginning of the video, drumming is so much more fun when you're good. And the better you get, the more fun it becomes, the more ways you're able to express yourself. The 80-20 of what we're doing here, we want to spend most of our time working on the skills that need to be improved. And that way, we're going to be constantly building new skills and adding to our arsenal of what we're able to pull out behind the kit. And this really is the secret sauce. It's spending time on that thing, whatever it is, and you know what it is for you. You'll see other drummers do it, be like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I would love to be able to play like that. You can play like that. It's just a couple exercises away. I promise you. If it's doubles, you could have some rock solid doubles in 3 months. If you really put your mind to it, stay consistent and allow yourself to be uncomfortable not being able to do it at first. The more you work on it, the more you are focused, the more you record yourself, the more you track your progress, the more you maintain a high standard for your playing, the more you show up. That is going to take care of itself on its own with the right intention. So whether it's playing doubles or paradiddles or polyrhythms or linear chops, you take that skill, you start from the foundation, start slow, allow yourself to be uncomfortable temporarily, and you will have gained a skill that is going to make you feel amazing about your playing and is going to keep you coming back to hit the next one. And guys, if you've ever had a drumming breakthrough on any song or any skill, it's like, oh, I finally got it. You know that is one of the best feelings in the world. You alone, through your own effort, your own time put in, were able to achieve something, to express yourself in a way that you never could before. And that is an amazing feeling. And that is what I want for all of you.
Wow, what a feeling.
And I want you to be able to feel that great feeling as often as possible. So that's why we follow these steps, so we can continually be busting through plateaus for life. And guys, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for sticking with me until the end of the video. I really, really appreciate it. As always, do the YouTube things. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it valuable, like, leave a comment, and if you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel. If you implement any of these principles into your playing already, and if so, if you have another perspective on a few of these or have some extra tips, let us know in the comments. We're trying to help everybody here. So please share your knowledge, share your experience. And if you have any suggestions for what you want to see next, or just something that you want to learn, please let me know. That kind of feedback is going to allow me to best serve you guys, give the most value that I can, and help you along in your journeys. And that is what I'm here to do. So until next time, peace.